Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
IVM Likes is an IVM production, and if you enjoy our show, do check out the On Course podcast. If you're a student planning to study abroad and wondering how to go about it, hosts Akhil and Alisha have all the answers for you. From financing your education to decoding that application process, they cover it all on the On Course podcast. Check it out. Alright, welcome to another episode of IVM Likes. I'm Sharanya and today I'm in the studio with producer Naveen and producer Abbas. Hello, producers!
Hello, producer Sharanya.
Producer Sharanya. I like how we have like first names.
Titles,
Yeah.
they're titles. Like sirs.
Commander Jay.
You guys know Beyonce's kids, the two twins that were born now? One of them is named Rumi and the boy's name Sir Carter. Sir.
Ooh.
A title in the name.
That's lavish.
Screw knighthood. I'm knighting my own child.
I mean, come on. That's more important. They are base
Yeah.
kids, bro.
Yeah. Queen Bee.
Come on. Queen Bey. They're like princess knights. Alright, so today we're going to do a round of recommendations. As always, we've got a TV show, a movie, and a podcast. And then in our second segment, we're going to talk about spoilers, spoiler sensitivity, and and consideration of spoilers, etc.
Yes. It's Game of Thrones season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
of
also
course.
flu season, which I have got right now.
Okay, let's start our recommendations with Naveen.
Alright, cool. So one of my favorite female comics in the world is Paula Poundstone. She's just like too cool. She's asexual. She talks about a lot of stuff. And the thing about her comedy is that she can just interact with crowds for like hours and hours and then just be funny. So, and she's also been in a lot of podcasts like Wait, Don't Tell Me, which is like a comedy panel
Yeah,
show.
about comedy panel.
So basically Paula Poundstone and Adam Felber, who are on the comic panel, they started their own podcast now called Live from the Poundstone Institute, which is basically Paula Poundstone trying to research more into absurd statistics and try to find out if there's truth behind certain behavior and everything.
Okay.
And because both these guys know each other so well, they're so funny, they play off each other, and there's an entire crowd. So there's only been 2 episodes so far. But knowing how these episodes have been going, like the first one and the second one are entirely different. Like even format-wise, they're just experimenting. They're doing random quizzes, and it starts off with one random trivia. For example, in the first one, Adam goes 15% people in the world think that software is actually soft clothes, and then they reformed that for like half an hour. Something like again, one more episode was the second episode is hurricanes named after men kill less people than hurricanes named after women.
Right.
and Paula's like, you wouldn't believe the dick on that one. It's like, so I think as a perspective of as a podcast producer and podcast in general, like you get to learn a lot from this woman because she's so candid and she does again crowd interaction live. She's just like trying to.
So the podcast is live with an audience.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what it's called, Live from the Poundstone Institute.
I see.
Oh, it's live.
I thought it was just a word play on her name.
No. So all the faux pas and everything are there in the recording. So you just like because in one thing they take survey from the crowd who are there in the studio, and then they like cumulatively try to make something out of it. Like it's like Jeopardy but behind the scenes. So some staff member forgot to collect the answer sheets from some of them. So she's screaming at them during the recording, and that is what it is for me. Like it's just like you kind of have the feeling of being there with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also like this random absurd, like in the first episode Dick Cavett is there and she's talking to him over the phone and just like they're riffing on each other. It's too much fun.
Nice.
And how long is each episode?
It's 30-35 minutes long.
Okay.
So like
Not
super
too-
unstructured, just whatever goes kind of.
Yeah,
But they're funny enough.
But they have the theme set, right?
Right.
They do come with their research and everything.
Okay.
But that is just like the backbone of it. The funny part of it is like they
Correct.
really get the A game on, and they
Sounds like IVM Likes, guys.
which NPR also have, by the way. They have Pop Culture Happy Hour.
Yeah, they do.
No, but Pop Culture Happy is very structured. Though.
Yeah. Which means IVM is not. Or
Let's not comment on that.
Let's move on. All right, so thanks for the recommendation, Naveen. The podcast is called Live from the...
It's called Live from the Poundstone Institute.
Awesome. All right, Abbas, you've got a movie for us today.
Yes, I've got a movie.
You don't seem enthusiastic about this movie.
I've got a documentary. The reason I
I
don't
see.
is because the moment I say the theme, you're going to be like, not again. So continuing from my last superhero battle with
Continuing
Navi.
from your life.
Yeah, so my documentary theme is superhero based. The film is called Batman and Bill. It's a documentary by this director called Mark Tyler. What the documentary is, when Batman was created as a character back in 1940, the credit for the creation of it, and if you've seen a Batman movie or a TV show or a cartoon, you'll always see in the credits Batman created by Bob Kane. Okay, so he's the one guy who gets credit for creating Batman. But what a lot of people don't know is that two people created Batman. The other artist was called Bill Finger. But Bill Finger never got credit for creating Batman. So this is the director's attempt to get that credit to him, because he thinks he believes Bill Finger actually deserves that. So what happens in the movie is that it's structured in three distinct parts. The first is Mark Tyler kind of takes us through the time of how the comic book industry worked in the 1940s, and he actually exposes a lot of artists just went away unknown. A lot of they pretty much drew characters from morning to evening. They drew pages and you don't find the names of those artists anywhere. So the first part kind of deals with that. The second part is when Mark Tyler sets out to find if there is any remaining family of Bill Finger still alive, so that they can claim that there is they deserve all of the royalties and name and fame. And this is my most interesting part of the documentary, and I wouldn't like to give much away, but it almost starts to resemble a thriller at this point, because when he goes to trace the family tree, he comes across some very interesting things of certain family members did something which resulted in something else, and so on and so forth. And so that's and in this point, Mark Tyler himself kind of starts comparing himself to Batman, because he's starting doing detective work now.
Yeah, I was going to say that only.
Yeah, so, and the tone of the film also kind of starts resembling that. And then the final bit is the legal battle that ensued through Mark Tyler's works with Warner Brothers, who now hold the rights to all the DC characters. It helps that this film was shot when Batman v Superman was about to come out, because he thought because the movie is about to come out, he could actually take advantage of that situation and bring this issue to the forefront. So a lot of very well-known names from the Hollywood and comic book industry give their opinion. There's Kevin Smith, who's interviewed. There's a very famous artist called Carmine Infantino, who is interviewed. So it's a very wholesome look at how the comic book industry used to work and now how it does work. And it's his attempt to make sure that the artists who made these characters get the credit that they deserve.
Why did they not get credit?
Because...
So what did the guy who's credited, Bob, what did he contribute to Batman then?
Just the idea.
Okay.
There is this character who is...
The concept is
the
his.
concept.
Not the actual drawing.
There are not the actual drawing. There are sketches that Bob Kane made which are ridiculous, where he imagined Batman as someone who wears red and actually has plastic feathers on the back. So Bob, whenever the film deals with Bob Kane, they try their best to be respectful towards him, but he comes across as someone who was pretty much a very...
a douchebag.
A douchebag. I was going to say an asshole, but I guess... So he is someone who shoved the people who worked under him aside and took credit for most of the things. But then before dying, Bob Kane actually confessed this, that I wasn't the only one. It was actually Bill Finger also.
What's the point of confessing when you're dying?
When you're dying. So the film tries to question that. So yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of cases where artists do not get credit for that, but it's a feel-good movie that you fight for something and get credit to the people who actually deserve it.
Wow.
Then you will eventually reach that point. So Batman and Bill is a documentary. Check it out.
Fascinating. Wow, that's very interesting, Abbas. Thanks, man. Okay, I'm going to recommend a TV show. It's a rom-com I want to recommend called Younger. I love rom-coms in television because you get to live it out. Long format, love triangles are my favorite. And I also really like, because it's television, rom-coms get to then, with the back plot of love and love stories or whatever, also get to address bigger issues.
Okay.
Like, for example, like Jane the Virgin does an incredible job explaining immigration in the middle of a very complicated love story.
Right.
And that's what, like, movies don't get to do that most of the time. So the show I want to recommend is called Younger. It's basically, you're following this lady called Liza, who's 40 years old. She's a stay-at-home mom. And now suddenly she finds herself divorced. Her daughter is like studying in India and she has no job. So when she tries to go back into her old job, which she had before she got married, which is in publishing, she's too old to work there anymore because she has no work experience. And she's just too old. So at a point of desperation, she just lies about her age. She says she's 26 years old and gets a job of personal assistant at a publishing house.
Okay.
And obviously, there's a lot of humor to mine from, a 40-year-old pretending to be 26.
Yeah.
Because, she looks up memes in the dictionary. So she Googles how to set up Twitter.
Right.
Or she calls it a tattoo parlor. Stuff like that. But of course, this is a TV show. So she's at a bar and she ends up meeting this hot 26-year-old guy. She obviously lies about her age and then ends up falling in love with him. She's 40, he's 26. And then she also has to keep up with all her work friends who are all young people who, live the young people life. Her best friends include actress Hilary Duff in the show and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Really young kids, young millennials, so they go out drinking all the time and she has to keep up with that and try to understand their life, etc. The love triangle comes in because the boss at the publishing house is a 40-year-old who obviously she connects with because she's also 40 years old. And obviously he thinks she's 26. It's one of those guys. But it's a really funny show because it really tries to talk about ageism in a big way, because every time she goes to a meeting, the way she is portrayed as a 26-year-old or perceived as a 26-year-old, it really clashes in her mind because of who she is. Very interestingly done. Some really ridiculous shit happens on this show, obviously. It's a sitcom format. It's created by Darren Star, who made Sex and the City. So it has that kind of fabulous young women trying to have it all in life. But it's such a great binge show because, again, 20-minute episodes, very good looking people. Oh my God. I don't know how they find these people. The lead character, Liza, is played by Sutton Foster, who was in Bunheads and Gilmore Girls, who is 40 and can pull off looking 26-year-old, so it doesn't feel really insane. Obviously,
that's what I was gonna ask. Do they make her up a lot?
No, she in real life, Sutton Foster is a Broadway dancer. She's a ballet dancer, so she looks very young and she does pull it off. But the people they are putting against her as other 26-year-olds are also Hilary Duff, who is not actually 26. So it balances itself, it balances out. But just the idea of how millennials work and how she's trying to adjust to this. Where in the beginning she thinks millennials are just about this, drinking and being on the internet, and then realizing that their lives are very different from what we had because of the problems they face are very different from what we did, and we got to make the choice of living at home with my husband, etc. Great binge watch show. There are 3 seasons out already. I'm so invested in this because a lot of the times, what's great about it is that they really put the friendships over the relationships, which girls love, guys.
It's on Netflix, is the show?
No, it's not on Netflix. It's on a network called TV Land. I find them somewhere from online.
Right.
But if you have literally if you just want a feel good fun show, Younger is really, really entertaining.
Will it make you feel sad for growing old?
No, absolutely not. It'll make you feel like as a millennial.
Yes.
It makes me feel yeah, man, life is fine. It's all right.
Cool.
It's okay to have fun, and it's fine. There's no reason to take anything too seriously, as you should not this TV show. But it's such a fun show, and great to watch. If you don't want to think too much, and you just want to look at pretty people falling in love and doing comedic shit where they trip and then they don't know what memes are and stuff. It's funny. It's fun. The show is called Younger.
And it is Abbas is the exact opposite of that.
I was just thinking of that. It's a good thing this is not a visual medium, so people can only hear my voice.
Abbas is a 28-year-old who looks.
I should have auditioned for that boss role, who's old but.
But they only do good-looking people, Abbas. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, oh my God, genuinely good-looking people. I will show you. I follow.
Okay, I get it.
I follow all of them on Instagram. I'm low-key obsessed. Alright.
Start doing ballet, Abbas. You'll get there.
That was really entertaining, guys. So, good recommendations. Naveen recommended the podcast
Live from the Poundstone Institute.
And Abbas recommended the documentary called
Batman and Bill.
And I'm recommending a TV show called Younger. Alright, let's take a break and then come back to our spoiler-heavy / spoiler-free segment where we discuss spoilers.
Hi, I'm Amit Verma, the host of the weekly podcast The Seen and the Unseen. In my show, I examine the seen effects and the unintended consequences of public policy and private action. I show how policies meant to help the poor often end up hurting the poor. I've done episodes so far on demonetization, GST, surgical strikes, immigration and MRP. And I will continue my forensic assault on the truth in the weeks to come.
Catch the show every Monday on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you prefer. Or visit sceneunseen.in for all the latest updates.
Alright, welcome back. So before we start this segment, disclaimer that during this argument, we might spoil some things. So look at the episode description and know what we're spoiling so you don't hate us. So we're discussing spoilers today because Game of Thrones is just out, which is one of the, I think, peak times I've seen people going stop with the spoilers or no spoilers, guys. Or people just posting spoilers because, it's okay to. I'm a little bit on the fence about this discussion because I do understand that people want to talk about things they watch. I mean, that's what Twitter is for. You go to it to discuss your favorite TV shows and your favorite movies. Are you allowed to be super sensitive about this? Because you know that, right? What do you guys feel about, do you avoid spoilers or do you avoid tweeting spoilers in the wake of stuff like big episode reveals?
Yeah, so I used to obviously tweet out spoilers when I was younger. But I grew up, and now the thing I do is I watch it before everybody else. So even if somebody spoils it otherwise, I don't get affected by it, but I don't spoil it for others as well. So
So you have to be on top of it. You have to, there is that FOMO, you have to watch it before.
Yeah. I have to, for example, I remember when Breaking Bad ka final episode was out, I actually remember putting out on the Facebook status, if anybody puts out anything about the episode, I'll find you and I'll murder you. I was that stern about it. So I feel like that, because some people are dickheads. I have this very good friend of mine called Nigel, who just
podcasted for personal problems.
Yeah, because he does it on purpose. He's a dickhead on purpose. He knows there are other people who can't. He does nothing. He does not even work. He goes to karaoke bars in the evening and just sings. Alright, so in the daytime, when he's got the free time, he just watches all the shows and spoils for everybody else on Facebook, right? And I know so many from my college people have just unfriended him because they don't like him anymore. And I'm still friends with him for some reason because I get enjoyment out of that. But I mean, Nigel, stop this. Why are you doing this? He's also one of those people who steals memes from other pages.
Yeah, and not give them credit.
Yeah, and post them and then they're oh my god, people are sharing my stuff. No, Nigel, you idiot.
I understand your point about Nigel.
Yeah.
But there are lots of Nigels in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with having this kind of spoiler sensitivity is that what is the time limit? If you haven't watched it or can I spoil it 2 days after? Is it 1 day after? Is it 10 years after? What do you think, Abbas?
So, time sensitivity as a concept. So here's what I think. I think for movies, a week after it's out, I think you can discuss about it.
Really?
No. Movies I think should be longer, dude. Because
really?
Yeah, TV shows are something that are designed for us to watch when it comes out, sort of, right?
So TV shows, I think you should wait an entire season before talking about the whole thing. Yes. But the thing, the problem with that is now the consumption of seasons is also questionable because now that Netflix put out all seasons at once,
correct.
Some people binge it
is very tough
in one day.
Yeah. It is very tough with binge shows. If you put out all the episodes, I don't know where you've reached.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really tough. But for weekly stuff, if somebody spoiled Breaking Bad for you, and the assumption was that you should have known.
Yeah.
Is that,
I would be pissed. I mean, see, spoiling things in general is a dick thing to do. Do not do it.
So time sensitivity wise, there's really no decision making on this because I'm not going to watch every movie that's out every week or I'm not going to watch every TV show. People do not have the time. There's so many things.
Yeah.
How do you decide? Can you spoil Breaking Bad anymore? It's been 5-6 years at least.
Exactly. So that's what I was giving you my sort of time window.
You think it's a week?
A week is good. If a film has been out for a week, you had 7 days.
So you're saying that if you haven't seen the movie and I tell you the spoiler, I'm allowed to.
And it came out a week ago. I'm sure enough. It's my fault that I didn't take time out to see something.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Abbas.
Yes.
That is a weird first.
Don't start spoiling things for me right away.
I get it.
Now you know the threshold, right?
But
cool.
isn't it easier, in my opinion? Twitter is the place where people live tweet movies now or live tweet things.
BuzzFeed has after Game of Thrones episode is aired, 1 hour after that, 41 reactions I had while watching the episode.
Okay.
So for that, 1 second. If you do not want spoilers, as somebody who does not want it, should you not avoid them?
Yeah, I have a point to that. as long as articles or status updates or tweets or whatever announce right up front, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this, we're going to talk about this, so we give you some time to stop reading, stop watching, stop listening right now. I am okay. As far as staying away, I remember, I have to share this with you, when Star Wars Episode 7 came out, it was such a big deal. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Everything was kept under wraps. I actually downloaded an app that
cut out all the blocked all the words.
So as long as there were keywords, Star Wars keywords on a web page, a message would pop up saying that this page might contain spoilers. Do not. But the day Star Wars Episode 7 released, I'm casually scrolling down my feed, and one movie critic. Now he's not one of those typical polished movie critics, but one of those like cool movie critics types.
Yeah.
Like Chris Tuckman types.
Kind of, huh?
Yeah.
And all his tweets says Han Solo dies. # nerds. And all that app downloading and everything, I don't have a control over scrolling down my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
So if you have to control yourself, you have to completely be zen about it.
Okay, then that brings me to my next point. Does it ruin your experience of watching this? Of watching, if you know Han Solo is going to die? Is it like, okay, now there's no point in watching this anymore? It doesn't, right?
It's a mixed thing.
To some extent, yes. So now I know he dies, but I want to know how he dies.
Correct, but it does kill your element of surprise. And
Yes,
that's
it does.
bad.
Yeah, for example, now when the Hodor episode came out, right? Like everybody just hashtag hold the door and Hodor.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
it's so-
Hodor, sad smiley.
It's so obvious at this point that this character's dead, right? Like the spoiler usually comes with the fact that this character's dead.
Yeah.
Unlike something like Lost, where the twist ending is what people were like tweeting about. But like you have to avoid that, man. You can't just hashtag the person's name who's dead. You can't just do that.
I do understand it, because sometimes, as somebody who wants to express this, like you see something and you're like, oh my god, I need to talk to somebody about this in the world. I understand
So find that niche of people.
Like in my earlier office, I would take a pen drive, I would download the episode and go to the office and give it to other people. I'm like, now watch, let's discuss.
Yeah.
Make a GOT WhatsApp group and discuss there. Don't be on the office WhatsApp group. Hey guys, this
or
dies.
on Twitter. I'm saying on Twitter and Facebook, where it's unavoidable. Like you can't do anything.
So then the best thing
And
I
people are
think...
putting Instagram stories now. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Instagram stories while they're watching, and like major death scene, for example, from this episode. If Arya does something,
you think honestly that the answer to this is to just, it's fine if you see a spoiler. It's not going to impact your enjoyment of the episode or the show.
No, it is. It
Yeah.
will.
I think there should be consideration in general from everybody's
How much
part.
is consideration is the problem? Because a lot of people still get iffy if you tell them spoilers about maybe Lost or maybe even Star Wars. How many years old is Star Wars at this point? You know
More
what I
than
mean?
40, exactly.
And then, exactly. And then the reason they become memes and they become, those lines become infamous are because you are allowed to say them. If you don't say, Luke, you're my father anymore. If you're not allowed to say that.
He's not. He's the father.
Sorry. I'm your father.
Clearly, you spoiled something else now. Some alternate version, which I don't know about.
Sorry. You know what I mean?
Director's cut came to her.
But you know what I mean? Like, those are iconic lines. You cannot take them out anymore. And you cannot, if we told you that you're not allowed to say them anymore because it's a spoiler to some people, that would piss you off,
Yeah,
right?
so that's why I'm saying 1 week. That's it.
Yeah, I think
Then
1 or
spoiled.
2 weeks of like any movie or TV show.
But there's a lot of stuff to watch, you guys.
I know, but then you have to get with the times, I guess. Because see, if something that's trending, right, that's the only show people will talk about.
Fair.
Like, I don't remember any spoiler from Mad Men.
Nothing happens in Mad Men to
exactly.
spoil.
So, like, for shows like these that are, like I'm talking about Game of Thrones or
Yeah,
Breaking
yeah,
Bad.
The ones that have plot twists
Plot
that
twists,
are big
yeah.
and important.
Yeah, and they leave on cliffhangers, then we know. I remember, like, there's sadistic pleasure in that when you have watched something
And
you
nobody
get
else
to ruin.
has.
For example, I was it was a Monday open mic at Hive, and I went up on stage. And I was trying a new bit about like how I'm not a nice person, I'm an asshole. I look like a cute person, but I'm a very bad person. To justify my point, I told them what happened in the morning episode of Game of Thrones, and the whole audience hated me so much. But I'm like, point made. But
Ouch.
yeah, I remember it was Shireen Baratheon's death. Then I spoiled for them, and they were all like, "Oh my god!" And some girl angry tweeted me as well. I remember, how could you do that? She was crying at the comedy show because I did that.
But then did you feel good about that?
Yeah, actually, I don't know. I started to say there's a sadistic pleasure in that, but you should not. You shouldn't. Generally, I realized after that I should not do that in general, so I stopped doing that.
Okay, fair enough. I get that, like, you're saying a time limit is a week at best.
And this thing about like how can we stay away from social media? It sounds like a very first world problem. Like you can't say I'm so addicted to social media and I don't want to spoil it also for myself. Choose one. Either give that away. They give that sacrifice of not logging on to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for like a day or 2 days
Till you get to watch it.
Or if you're gonna do it, then it's gonna be spoiled for you. Then don't cry over it.
Yeah, I think it's, to some extent, I feel like it's unavoidable, spoilers, because if you work, if your job is like social media or something, and you cannot avoid Facebook and Twitter, I think you just have to like build a thick skin, because honestly, I know that I will never be able to watch everything in the 1 week time span I have to watch everything. So I'm just going to have to live with it, and I think it's okay. I think people cry too much about spoilers sometimes.
Yeah.
But then are we letting the people who spoil stuff off the hook in that case?
No, I mean, see, with Game of Thrones, for example, I do recognize that the book readers didn't spoil it for you when the TV show came out, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Because book readers are nicer than TV show watchers. I mean, not that all of them were not smug about it.
They sat on that for like years and did not do
not that they were not smug about it.
Yeah.
You know, there was a you wait till this happens. I get that.
Like, don't know Lady Stoneheart, man. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, but I think because the way TV is consumed now, right? Even like there's television and movies, which are things that everybody must tune in an hour and watch.
Yeah.
I get that it's very difficult to stay away. Even like some people don't want to know the score of a match or something.
Yeah,
that's
I was just gonna say that.
That's impossible.
People tape matches and ask people not to tell them the results.
Yeah.
Now Game of Thrones is
Impossible.
becoming like that.
Yeah.
They're like,
My asshole ex-boyfriend ruined Orange is the New Black.
You're doing this
This is a
episode
very
to settle
personal
old
vendetta.
scores.
Yeah.
Personal episode.
Because this was his way of getting back at me at any point in time, like just
Damn.
before. Yeah,
to spoil stuff for you.
Wow, that is some power you have over
that
people,
is-
honestly.
that
I
is-
get that.
that
he
is
ruined
bad.
many of the. And then I remember, spoiler warning, Pusey Washington dies in
Yeah.
Orange is the New Black season 4.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, he's joking, it won't actually happen. And then she actually died.
She does die. It's a great episode.
It's a very heartfelt episode. And then there's a tribute episode after that.
Yeah.
The season finale is when
Yeah.
they
Right.
pay off a tribute.
Yeah.
And it hit me even then, like, you know.
Yeah.
If I had
Absolutely.
not known this information, I would have still felt bad.
Yeah.
But he shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
That's why I broke up with him.
Do you guys remember really old school spoilers, like when we were in school and stuff? I remember when the movie Gupt came out.
Yeah.
And people SMS'd each other.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
who had phones got SMS saying Kajol is the killer.
Kajol is the killer.
Spoiler for Gupt, guys. From, I don't know, 90 something. Some critics will also end up using an image that is almost a spoiler.
Yeah.
That really makes me angry. Either they'll imply it with the image. You
that-
wouldn't believe this character died, and then they have the picture of the
Yeah,
character.
and
Well,
some
then
guy
you're
did for
giving it
Martian.
away.
Like, no, not the Martian. The Martian. No, sorry, Interstellar.
Huh.
Some guy did for Interstellar where we did not know, like, spoiler alert, Matt Damon is there
Yeah.
in the movie, and
Yeah.
nobody knew it until
Yeah.
like.
Ah, correct.
And then they used in the review, which is like the day-old review,
Yeah.
a photo of Matt Damon in
Damon.
costume.
Yeah, that's-
and I'm
that-
like, oh my
that
god.
is
Movie reviews
irresponsible.
though, if you read movie reviews before going to see the movie, are they not supposed to mention spoilers? How
No,
do you
no,
analyze
no, they
a
have an
review?
embargo. They have to.
They shouldn't. If the critic chooses to, again he has to put a warning up top.
No, I get that. But like with television recappers and
Right.
movie reviewers, they should be allowed to analyze something in detail without worrying
not
about
spree.
not...
Post is okay. Post, I think everybody, because I used to write for movies
But
back
post
then.
is what I mean. Like after the movie is
Yeah,
out on
they
Friday
put
and
a
on Saturday, Sunday, that's fine.
spoiler special is done after the release date.
Yeah, because see, everybody does that. Like even as soon as like the Game of Thrones episode gets over, within half an hour,
Yeah.
Forbes and AV Club have like
They
their
all have
reviews
put up
out,
their reviews
and
out.
Their
all
spoiler
the everything is
discussion.
full with spoilers.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
So basically, it's a human decency question.
Exactly.
If you're a nice person and you don't spoil them, it's fine. Although a lot of I know a lot of television critics who are like against the idea of what is a spoiler. It's fine, you know. This like we have open discussions and everything. It's like if you all sat and watched TV at the same time.
Yeah.
And you know, now we talk to the world about it. So the assumption is that everybody
I
should
remember
watch everything.
the Gup thing kind of brought something back. Like when we were kids, we used to watch family movies like together.
Yeah.
Like so, one of those movies where my uncle and everyone is there, and my uncle has already watched the movie abroad and come to India. Okay, and now we get like a VCR and you put the VCR in, and everybody's. And my mom has this habit of like being very loud when something happens. So when Bobby Deol goes to jail, she's like, "How will he get out?" And my uncle he takes a spoon and takes a hole in the He's like, "Oh shit!" He just
So Vidhu Vinod Chopra made this film, which was basically like a Indianized version of an Agatha Christie book. And so there's a movie called Khamosh in the late 80s, I think. And I was watching this movie with my dad, okay? Because he made me watch it. It's like, बहुत अच्छी film है, आके देखो. And it's a whodunit. And in the end, it's a twist who actually does the deed. So I asked my dad, and I saw it like in the 2002, 2003 something, by when cell phones had come. So I asked my dad, I'm like, Dad, back then there were no cell phones, there was nothing. How did people spoil it? And my dad told me, वो ना theater के bathroom में कोई आईने पे लिख के चला जाता था.
See, even if you did have the resources to spoil it for many people, you can still do it if you wanted to. There were assholes in every generation of all time.
It's either Naina or stand-up show. It's just like, the spectrum is very wide.
Alright, that was pretty interesting, guys. I honestly am just going to live with the spoilers at this point in my life.
Yeah, I don't think even anything like really affects us so much. It's only when we get invested as much as we do.
Right.
Now I think Game of Thrones is the only big show that really
I also think sometimes with Game of Thrones type stuff, nothing will surprise me anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, else is going to die to make me cry anymore? Everybody dies
after
anyway.
After graduating, I basically gave up.
You're like, no hope only.
Yeah.
What is the point of holding on to any character?
Gotta kill them all.
Every time I feel like even a little bit of like compassion to a character, I'm like, kill it. Just kill it.
Yeah. I think Brienne will die next. Definitely. The hinting has it.
No, I hope she at least gets to like get with that
You're already
guy.
attached to her. See? Exactly. You're countering your own point.
I'm reading the third book, so I don't have an opinion.
Rob Stark dies.
Alright, that was a fun episode, guys. If you have, opinions on spoilers, don't spoil anything or whatever it is. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are IVM Podcasts. Make sure you check the disclaimer before you listen to this episode because we spoiled a whole bunch of stuff, guys.
Hey, by the way, fun fact. Like, did you all know like the thing on the cars where they have like at the back are called spoilers as well? Like those things like, those racing car kind of cars.
Yeah,
like
that have a raise up thing.
Yeah. It's like there's a distance between the hood and the thing.
So if someone's standing behind and the car is like, spoiler alert, you're gonna
and
get
just like
hit.
run into him.
Alright, bye. Excuse me, भैया. Excuse me.
बोलिए मैडम.
मेन्यू में क्या है?
मेन्यू में सीन अनसीन है, पॉडकास्ट है, ऑन कोर्स है, साइरस है, मेड इन इंडिया, रीडिस्कवरी प्रोजेक्ट, एम्पावरिंग सीरीज, सेक्स वैक्स है, IVM लाइक्स है, सिंप्लीफाइड है, कीपिंग इट क्वियर है, ड्रिंक्स एंड डेस्टिनेशंस है, माय नेबर जकरबर्ग है और द फैन गराज है. आपको क्या चाहिए?
एक बार रिपीट कर देंगे क्या?
रिपीट नहीं करता हम. आप जाओ IVMpodcast.com पे और सुनो ये सब, या फिर डाउनलोड करो उनका ऐप. सब आपकी उंगलियों पे.